Crimson Desert does not have a tutorial, not a real one at least. What it does have is every system in the game thrown at you at once with no roadmap and no explanation. There's onboarding tucked inside the Greymane Camp, but most players blow right past it. So this guide will be your compass, not a manual. I'm not here to script your entire playthrough. I'm going to show you how every system works and overlaps with one another. Weapons, abyss gears, the game economy, skills, combat stats, all of it. So you can start enjoying the game immediately rather than 10, 20 hours later. And for each one of these topics, I have its own dedicated video, which you can find linked at the end of this video and in the pinned comment and description. But let's get started. Loading into the game, let's talk about your skills, your stats, and combat first, because I think this is the thing that people get stuck on the most. So taking a look at the skill tree, we can see that it is broken into 3 separate branches. Now I'm using my stream version of this game. It's the one that I play on my live stream, so there should be no spoilers. It's not that far into the game, so don't worry about me ruining anything. But you can see the top of the tree is blue, this is red, and this is green. This node at the top, this node over here, and this node over here are all part of kind of the parents of each one of these trees. This dictates additional stamina, and these are all of your combat skills. This dictates additional health, and these are all elemental or axiom focused skills. And this dictates your total spirit, and these are all spirit related spells, skills, everything in between. Well, kind of spells. What you should do is, before you do anything, I'm not going to tell you, hey, just choose these items and these things and make sure you always get these abilities. Nay. Choose the skills you want. Choose the skills that you really like playing with. Hey, I really like using spinning slash, then go max it out. I love using turning slash, then that's all for you. Just know that any of these combat skills you unlock, they unlock for all the types over here on the left. For sword, spear, longsword, dual wield, and fists. But I would encourage you to very first increase your stamina here so that your current stamina is 200 or higher. This thing will keep telling you that, hey, your current level of max stamina is plus 140. If you go over to your inventory, you'll be able to see stamina. Mine right now says 260. So just make sure you get this to 200. It'll just make moving around a lot easier for you, all sorts of things. Also, invest a couple points into health. I wouldn't put a whole ton into this right out the gate, especially if you're coming from like a Dark Souls game, right, where you try to really burst a lot of health up front. I've put very few amounts of points of this at very few intervals in the game and been just fine. So just kind of, again, here's an example here. We're at a total of 600 health, and it's quite a bit for where this character is in this save. And lastly, spirit, you can pretty much hold off on this until you're really using a lot of spirit abilities, a lot of elemental imbuements, which you will eventually start using more of. But those are your skills. Pretty straightforward. I just wanted to really say, hey, in the beginning, focus on stamina, get your health up, and then put stuff into combat that makes sense. And all this is then spat out over here into your actual stats page, which gives us your critical rate, your attack speed, your movement speed, and all of your resistances, as well as your attack and defense. I'll talk about this more in our next section on weapons, armor, and gear stats, but this is where you would be able to see all of that. So this then comes around to a conversation about how combat works. And I have a whole video on this subject matter. I'm not going to get too lost in the weeds on it, but I'm using a controller. So I'm going to give you the direction of how to approach combat just from using the controller. So here's my character right here. And it can be kind of confusing because you've got so much stuff. Well, pretty much everything in the game keys off of right bumper for your attacks and left bumper for defense. There's also, of course, the B button, which is your evade. I think it's circle if you're on a PlayStation. That is an evade, and that is worth noting because everything defensive, for the most part, happens on the left side of the controller. Everything offensive happens on the right side of the controller. So right bumper is everything. Right bumper and right trigger. Boom. Right bumper and A. Right bumper and B. Right bumper and X. Right bumper and Y. All of those are offensive capabilities. Anything defensive is just going to happen by simply pressing the left bumper down. And when I want to go ahead and go with my blind, I'm going to use both my bumpers. That is really the core basics of just simply of combat, right? And what's nice here is, you know how we have all these abilities bound to the face buttons, A, B, Y, and X, and right bumper? Well, if you hold down right bumper, which I'm doing right now, I'm just holding it down, and then press A, it will then do that ability. then press Y, it does that ability. So you can just hold down right bumper and then press the other thing that you want to do. Don't get so lost. It's like, okay, I've got to combo these together like I'm playing Street Fighter. Nay, I'm terrible at Street Fighter. I would not be able to play this game if that was how this game had to be played. So try to remember, it's all on right bumper, and it's for attack, all on left bumper for defense. You'll get the timing of stuff like a dodge or parries down in due time, and I've got that in its own video. But that is the core mechanics of your combat. That is how you're going to put your early skills into stuff, and that's how your stats work. But really all this comes into your gear, because gear is going to affect all three of these systems the most. And gear can be very convoluted, but before we actually get into the inventory screen, I want to show you how you can quickly navigate to any item you've got. If you're using a controller, we're going to hold down the left directional button, and from here, and this is on PC, it's hold down F2. So holding down the left directional button, I'm going to be able to see all of my different items. These are bows, these are daggers, these are shields, these are one-handed weapons, these are two-handed weapons, and also my fists. And then we have a mask. You can also press right bumper to switch over to your armor. So anything that's in your inventory, you can just simply swap it out and onto your character. You don't have to go into your inventory screen to do this. This allows you on the fly to say, hey, I'm going to try dual wielding right now. Boom, there you go. You're set to dual wield. Or hey, I'm going to use, rather than my fisticuffs, I'm going to use this spear. So this is a great way to navigate your gear without jumping into the inventory screen. But let's jump into the inventory screen. Because your gear, like I said, can be convoluted. You've got your 4 pieces of armor. Well, 5, I guess you could argue, right? Chest or head, chest, gloves, boots, and then cloak. What I want you to see though is that your boots and your gloves both have an attack value on them. Your sword has an attack value on it. And you'll notice here that my sword is currently unsheathed and it says attack 26. This does not include though the 13 here on my gloves or the 12 of my boots. It's because the game will only give you the attack bonus or benefit of whatever item you currently have unsheathed and equipped. Meaning, I also have a bow on me that's got an attack. My bow is not going to give me attack unless I'm using it directly. My two-handed weapon that you saw, that spear that's on my back, I don't get the benefit of its attack unless it is equipped, and that's what I'm using. So if this sword is giving me an attack of 26, let's go ahead and use that same button. We'll switch this over to our gloves. And now I'm using fisticuffs. So it says attack, gloves, and boots are both 24 and 23 respectively, because you will only use the attack value of that item. So the gloves are only going to be applicable to punches, and the boots will only be applicable to kicks. So it's a kind of a convoluted system. In addition to that, though, you do have something that breaks the rules. All of your accessories will always give you their benefits no matter what. So it doesn't matter where they, as long as they're on, you have to have them equipped. They can't be in your backpack. So as long as you have them equipped, you're good to go. You'll get the benefit of whatever these say. Also, attack speed is going to be present, or at least you're going to get the bonus of it no matter where it is on your character. So attack speed will always help, whereas attack has to be on the weapon you're using. Very, very convoluted. Now, there's another button right here. It's 5 on keyboard. It is the screenshot button, or select, I guess you could say, would used to be select on a controller. And that shows me all of my actual stats across all of my items read out for me, so that I can see, hey, you know what? I've got stuff that's giving me daze immunity, that's giving me health benefit, stamina regen, climb speed multiplier, so on and so forth. I can also see all of my break points for my resistances down at the bottom there. So this is a really powerful tool to be able to consolidate all the bonuses that you currently have across all of your gear, so you can help understand the stats that you are working with. But there's a further way to enhance this. So let's now talk about your refinement and your abyss gears, because it's the way to bring it to the next level. Going back to Hernand, we have our starting blacksmith, who allows us to craft items if we so wish, and also allows us to refine items. Now, it is worth noting too that there's the different types of equipment across leather, across cloth, and across plate armor. I have a whole video on this subject matter. Like I'm going to say it out there, you're going to be sick of me saying that statement, but basically leather armor is going to help you with lightning resistance, critical rate, and a number of other things. Stuff like, I think attack speed is also one of them. Cloth armor, on the other hand, is going to help you with movement speed and ice resistance. That's going to be the big one, versus plate, which just has naturally much higher defense. But refinement is why we are here. And with refinement, we have a number of things to do. Refinement is going to increase the actual attack of an item, or maybe even give it additional benefits if it's, say, an accessory like an earring or a ring or a necklace. But let's take a look here at the Sword of the Lord. I can refine it using the materials that I've found in the game world. You can see it goes from level 2 now up to level 3. This little, well, let's press a button over here to get my cursor back. This little thing right here, these little hash marks, they are denoting what the refinement level of the sword is. We're going from 2 to 3. And you can see this only costs me iron ore and copper ore. There's another way to refine though, and that is, I don't think I have any actually, and we're going to find out right here live on air. Taking 2 of the same items and using what's called same equipment. So if you have 2 of the same items at the same level of refinement, you can refine them together to make a advanced one. So 2 Wells maces that are level 2, you can put them together to make a Wells mace that is level 3, thus increasing its attack. Now the other option, which was recently added in a patch, is the refinement tokens. These refinement tokens will be named after the city that they will be applicable to. This says Hernand refinement token. And this refinement token will only refine an item for free up to level 4. It says right here, however, these tokens can only be used for equipment that has been refined less than 5 times, meaning it will go from 0 to level 4 for you. Well, individually, you'll spend a token per level. Now, another point on this really quick before we jump over to Abyss Gears is you can very easily plan out how all this works by clicking on an item, clicking details or pressing R. It's Y on a console, it's R on computer. And you come over here to refinement information, F on a computer or Y on console. And you can then plan out what it's going to take, what it's going to look like to fully boost this up. So my current level of this is level 3. Gives me 10 defense. That's the refinement cost. But at max level, this is going to have 41 defense and it's going to cost me these 2 items. So this allows you to plan and save for the items that you need to refine things to the max level, but getting the full value out of them extends to your Abyss Gears. Now, this is a system that is very, not necessarily complex, but there's a lot of moving parts to it. So I'm going to very briefly go over it by saying, hey, we're going to talk about sockets first, because Abyss Gears go into sockets on items. If you see that little X that exists on this War Spike bow, that means you do not have any sockets open on this item. You have to create those sockets by spending silver, as you can see. And it goes up exponentially, 5 to 15 to 35 to 65 to 105. And then once you've created those sockets, you then can embed Abyss Gears into items. And once you do that, you have an item that has Abyss Gears. But you can also, and this is an important thing, when you kill bosses and find cool treasure on items that you really don't like the look of, you're like, you know what, I'm not wearing cloth armor, or I hate axes, I don't want to use 2-handed spears, whatever it is, you can extract those Abyss Gears and then apply them to the items that you do want to use. Like, hey, for example here, maybe I want that wind slash on an axe. Well, I would just go ahead and do this and remove it by pressing X. This pulls it off the item, and then I can just go and embed it with this. One thing I want to tell you though, very quickly, is, and guess what? This is all in another video combined with the refinement, is that all items always have the same amount of sockets per item type. All 2-handed weapons, bows included, have 5 total sockets. All helmets have 1, all chest pieces have 3, all gloves have 2, all boots have 2. One-handed weapons have 3, and shields have 2. So if you look at this, if I want to use a 2-handed weapon, that's 5 sockets. Well, I get those 5 sockets now split across a sword and a shield. So this allows me to kind of match up what I have with my 2-handed weapon. Conversely, I can dual wield 2 one-handed weapons and have 6 sockets available to me. Just know, the last note on this is that you also have to deal with the fact that your gears, let me go to my inventory. Your gears are going to be bound by the actual item that they're going into. So this right here it says equipable on melee weapons and shields. This says equipable on weapons, gloves, and footwear. This is armor. That is weapons, gloves, and footwear. So this is how your Abyss gears are going to work. You're not going to really tap into the system until you unlock witches in your game, which is going to be around chapter 4 or 5. Just keep playing through the story and you'll get to this level of witch. There's an early witch you'll discover in the game, but they won't have this level of functionality until you get to them in the actual story. And then there's just witches all over the place. But Abyss gears are unlocking the true power of your game. Switching gears here, let's talk about navigating through the actual game world, the map, and all the pretty powerful tools that it affords you so that you can go through all of this without having to worry about really a lot of it. And the game does not really show you how strong the map really is. So let's go ahead and go into the map screen. And there's 2 other forms of navigation we're going to talk about. The first most obvious thing to talk about, though, is just simply using Abyss Nexus. You'll find these throughout the game world, and you'll simply double click them on PC or press Y to teleport to that location. That's the most transparent way to, the most immediate way to get anywhere. But also you'll see these little locations, these Abyss crescents. These locations typically give you an Abyss artifact, but you can also use them to teleport to. So finding them is pretty crucial. And I'll show you just in a little bit how to find them easily just by looking at the game world. But this map has a lot of functionality. So through this, we have to see these little outlines of these buildings. We get a lot of information. This is everything turned on. Well, if I just switch to a different filter by pressing right trigger, I can see quests. And this is going to show me any current minor quests I have active, or the yellow one, which will be a major quest, the actual storyline quest. The other one here is environment. This one's pretty handy because it's going to show me any merchant that I've discovered. It's going to show me stuff like grindstones, anvils, any mineral deposits that I've found, anything like that. But it'll also show me stuff that I maybe haven't discovered or stuff that I've just yet to really kind of take a look at. So this is a great way to just kind of see on the fly, hey, I need to find a grocer. Well, there's one right there. Oh, sorry, street shop. Here's a grocer's right there. It's right there. There we go. So you can use this environment thing to find all of the merchants and everything. But the other one here is called factions, and factions is pretty crucial because it gives us a lot of transparency. So for one, we have these little icons here, this little moose head, this little thing of wheat, this fish hook. Those are missions, which we'll talk about when we get into the Greymane Camp. But you can also see the ones that I don't have active and the ones that I do have active. This little gold shield means that it is currently being run. And if I look at any of these locations, either double clicking on PC or pressing Y on a controller, we can bring up some more detailed information about that location. The nice thing about this is it allows us to do a lot from this screen. I can go ahead and see the stronghold, the faction summary if I want to, but I also can see the missions. I can run missions from this screen, I can cancel missions, and I can even see who is on that mission. So this gives me a lot of really strong capabilities. But I can also use this too when it comes to navigating any of the trade mechanics of this game. So from the actual trade post here, I can see all of the going rates of all of these trade goods if I want to invest into that system. It is quite a dense system, but I wanted to quickly bring it up as it is important. You can also just simply press a button here to take a look back at the Abyss. It is, just pressing down the right thumbstick or middle mouse button brings you back to the Abyss to take a look at that if you so wish. But now that we know how the map works, how do you find locations to quickly navigate to points on the map? Well, you can use the torch, the lantern, but I'm going to use this. Hey, look, there's one right there. So that is either going to be a location that is going to be an Abyss Nexus, an Abyss Crescent, or an Abyss artifact. If it's on the road, more often than not like that, that's probably just an Abyss artifact, which is just a skill point, which is great. Something up here though, that's probably going to be an Abyss Crescent. Something over there, that's probably an actual Abyss pad, I guess you could say, Nexus, Abyss Nexus, that'll allow me to teleport to it. Remember, you can teleport to the latter 2 things that I talked about, but not that actual one right there, because it's just an Abyss artifact. Now, of course, the last method of getting around quickly is your horse. So we're going to hold down up on the directional pad, and there's my horse. It's the legendary horse Rocade. And they will teleport right to you, and you just simply ride them and get up on them and use them as you see fit. It is worth kind of noting very quickly about horses. If I go into inventory and I go into Rocade, which is my name of my horse, you can see that I have horse inventory items equipped on them, but you'll also see trust and skill. The more trust I build with Rocade, the more they level up. And the more they level up, then the more skills they get access to. How do you level them up? Just simply sprint everywhere with them. That's what builds their trust. You can feed them things too, that also helps, but just go ahead and sprint everywhere. Then if I press 5 on the keyboard or select on my console, then I get this screen, which shows me all the skills my specific horse has access to. All breeds of horses have this same sets of skills, meaning the very first breed, I think it's Hesperia, has the same skills as any other Hesperia. The different breeds have different skills. So this is all the skills to get access to. Once I get to level 4, this will unlock sprint, and level 5 will then unlock this. So that is how we're going to navigate the game world, but there's also quests and how those quests are going to pull into all these other mechanics. And that is right here in our journal. You go press escape or go to the menu, you navigate to journal, and you've got your tabs here at the top. The 3 we're going to take a look at are main quests, faction quests, and challenges. Challenges, very briefly, is pretty much just anything you discover in the game world as part of a larger system, like, hey, the legendary animals. We were talking about Rocade. Well, he's one of the 22 legendary animals. They just added more with last patch too, so that number could go up. Or, hey, here's ancient ruins. I've just discovered these ruins. These aren't necessarily challenges that you have to individually pursue. It's just a place to kind of compile them. Or any of those abyss artifacts that you find will typically be locked into stuff like this, like Goyen's Advice, Shield. Well, I have Shield of Unchanging Will too. This is because it is one of the abyss artifacts I found. I need to block 10 arrows with a shield. Boom, that's done. So challenges are all compiled here. Now, faction quests, this looks a little daunting, but this is going to layer as you play the game. When you first start off, it's just going to say Hernand, and it's just going to say, like, I think House Celeste and House Roberts. What's important to note here is that these factions will, again, expand as you play. As you discover the factions, they will get added here to do quests for them. But they sometimes will require you to do other factions stuff. What do I mean by that? Well, House Roberts here you can see is 10 out of 10. We've completed all the House Roberts quests. And that means that this then unlocked House Circus and it unlocked House Alfonso. And by progressing the actual main story or other factions quests, you'll be able to do more quests within that faction. The biggest portion of faction quests, though, is the commissions. Commissions are going to be these little just kind of side quests from all the little individual vendors or personnel within the location that will then reward you with medium bags. That will thus increase your inventory by 3 slots. That's important. It's the fastest way to increase your inventory is just by simply doing all of these commissions. And the commissions will extend out to the locations that you find. Hey, there's a bunch of commissions here in Dimensis. I have a bunch of commissions for the Greymane Camp, which is our next subject matter. And all of this, all of these quests, all these faction quests, everything contribute towards a system called contribution. So I'm over here in Hernand, and this vendor is the contribution vendor. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to them, and I can buy from the contribution shop of Hernand specifically. And you can see at the upper right hand corner, I have 64 total contribution points, we'll call them. And I can use these points to buy any of these special items that are usually themed across a color palette or specific armor type that is only found in that specific faction or that faction represents. Like, hey, here is a barding for my horse that is themed after Hernand's color schemes or the way that they like to do armor, whatever it is. So this system is huge because it's got its own little economy attached to it, especially as we take a look at the Greymane Camp. And the Greymane Camp is our next subject matter I'm going to get into in a little bit, literally right after this. It's just worth noting that the faction quest for the Greymane Camp only progresses as you progress the camp. So let's switch gears now to that. Well, on this save, my Greymane Camp is not progressed very far. I think it's like the level 3. There's 5 total levels. But you can see it does get quite big and quite expansive and has quite a few mechanics attached to it. So we're going to go back to the journal here. And the Greymane Camp is important because you're going to see this Scattered Embers faction quest. You'll get this at the end of chapter 3. You cannot avoid getting the Greymane Camp. You're not going to miss it. Don't worry. The game throws it in your face because it's part of the main narrative. Remember, your whole goal as Cliff, I don't know why I said goal like that. Your whole goal as Cliff is to you reunite the Greymanes. And so this is what you'll be doing with the camp. And if you get lost or stuck, or there's just something you just don't understand in the game, go through the Greymane Camp, because every single one of these quests is a tutorial in and of itself of a different system within the game. This one teaches you how to do the bounties. This one teaches you how to do the gambling system. This one teaches you, I think this is the one that teaches you that you can steal wagons and go and sell them. So I think this is one for archery. This one teaches you all about riding and horse races. So each one of these has its own system that's attached to it. And I didn't even know it until like, I think 20 hours into the game. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to go through these and learn everything. Then Grounds of Sunrise is how you actually expand the camp through Embers of Return and Gathered Will and reuniting the comrades. So you do both sets of these faction quests to learn the mechanics of the game. Reuniting the comrades is how you get a ton of the actual, okay, I think this one I think is the blacksmith. This one I think is I'm spitballing here. I think this one's the farm. So you get these individual quests to go find some of your lost teammates, which then builds that location within your camp. So you could also completely ignore this mechanic. Let me also make that perfectly clear. This is an open world game. Play the game however the fuck you want. But if you skip it, you're not going to hurt your gameplay. It just means that you'll not have discovered either what the strength of the Greymane Camp is, which, hey, guess what? I got a whole video on it. Or you'll just completely go through the story or play the open world however you want. So don't feel like, fear of missing out if you don't hit this camp too hard. But I just want you to know, if you're struggling with a lot of mechanics you don't understand, this mechanic goes through every mechanic so you can understand the system as a whole. I think the game doesn't really properly illustrate how much of a tutorial this big thing is. And this allows you to put everything we've talked about in this section together. You navigate through the map because you're going to have to jump through all these quests in all these different locations, and you're going to have to build out faction quests and do the contribution for those respective faction quests. And in your camp, you can cook food. You can cook food anywhere, actually. And food is a very important mechanic within this game, because it allows you to, it's your health potion, more or less. This is how you're going to top yourself off. You use them in the middle of combat. It might buff your stats, but it will primarily heal you. So you will accumulate a ton of materials in this game. We'll talk about inventory in this section as well. But you'll use this system to then craft those. This will help generate your spirit. This is going to give you a ton of health. And you can also make varying, I guess you could say, quality scores of this. Like this is just the toasted grains. Well, filling toasted grains now goes from 120 health to 160. This goes to 200 to 240. So you'll get more health the more ingredients you put into these items to make that food item. This is important because you will eventually have more health. So toasted grains could feed you from the very start of the game all the way to the end of the game by making the higher quality, just costing you more resources. And this is present with all the other things here. As the recipes become more complex, they do more things. Like this will give us health and spirit and fire resistance, or this gives us health and spirit and ice resistance. This is just health a lot more and also ice resistance. So really use this system. The key to beating bosses in this game is having enough food in your backpack to give yourself enough health to last through the boss fight. If you think I have a video on it, you would be absolutely correct in that assumption. But as you just build out all of these items and all the stuff to cook, it fills up your inventory. So here's my inventory, and I still have some stuff to sell, and it's not really that organized right now, but let me just show you, guess what? Got a whole video on that too. But let me show you an important thing here. I have grouped things together. So on a keyboard, this is the T button. On a console, it's holding down the left thumbstick. So all of these jewelry items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they're just sitting there loose like that. Well, I'm going to group them. Now they cluster into their own, oh, sorry, rings and earrings go into their own separate clusters. So here's my 2 earrings now. Okay, do the same thing right here. Here's my 4 rings. If I take a look at all my chest armor, it's right there. If I look at all my back armor, it's right there. Boots are here, gloves are here, Helmets are here. So use this grouping to help you navigate through all the materials you're going to have from cooking. Like, look at this. Take a look at this photograph. Every time I do, it just makes me laugh. So these are all items I've cooked. These, and when you click on it, you can see, or hover over it, you can see what it is. These are keys. These are ingredients. These are documents. These are elixirs, cloaks, armor, alchemy material, abyss gears. So grouping these things together makes it so that your inventory is a lot less cluttered and you don't have to deal with it. One closing point on this though, all these crafting materials, you don't need to hold on to them until you're at a point where you really want to go ahead and craft. Why is that guy climbing on that tent, dude? Get down, dude. You don't pay rent around here. So you come over here to your private storage, which just had its actual storage limit increased to 1,000 with the most recent patch, and just go ahead and drop in. Hey, you know what? I don't need 50 iron ore on my character. Well, just store it over here on the left side of the screen. So this allows you to store all those items. And remember, anytime you clear out a location that is held by an enemy faction, like a camp or anything like that, all those items automatically populate in your private storage. You don't have to go loot them. So you're going to spend a lot of time in both of these screens, your inventory base screen and your private storage. So make sure you're storing all the materials that you're going to use for cooking and crafting so that you're not always carrying them around, and it frees up your inventory for even more goodies. Now, the last subject I want to talk about is economy. There's plenty of videos out there on how to cheat the economy, how to get a ton of money. I have a how to make money video coming out in the next day or two. I just want to talk quickly about things that are going to help you make money without me saying like, go do this exact thing and get this much wealth. But there are things that are probably just in your inventory right now that can make you money. If you go ahead and look at something like this, your recipes, any of the crafting manuals or stuff like that that you've already knowledge acquired, see how it says it's grayed out, it says 1 of 1, just go ahead and sell it. Same thing here with documents. I don't have any excess ones right now, but hey, there's 10 of these, that's 70 copper that's just sitting on. Just go ahead and sell it. This extends though to just junk items you find that you're not going to use. I'm not going to use this banner pike, and that's a silver and a half almost. Go ahead and sell it. Make sure you sell all the items you're not using for as much gold or silver or copper as you can. I like to kind of try to hold on to some of these disguise items because I don't know when they're going to be relevant for me, but I just, like compiling things like a Pokemon. Also too, if you find that you're just really just over the top with a bunch of resources, just go ahead and sell them. This is a game of abundance, meaning you will always be around crafting materials, and crafting materials will repopulate. So go ahead and sell them if they're just taking up room. You'll also find these blue items, these trade goods. I'm going to talk about that in just a second here. You need to have 25 of the specific trade good in order to really get value out of it. You can trade it at one location I'll talk about in a sec. But you'll also find sometimes these silver pouches or copper pouches. Make sure you open those because those are just going to straight up give you money. Those are just some quick little tweaks of how to make money in this game. But really it comes down to selling all the crap that's just sitting in your inventory that you didn't know was actually taking up space. A lot of it too are that you probably have a ton of these crafting manuals or books that are just sitting there. Like I have a ton of items from one of the last camps. Okay, that's 68 copper, that's 33, that's 33, that's 58. This is 2.6, this is 1.5. I'm not going to use these items unless you want to use them. Hold on to them. If not, just sell them. Like, well, I'm going to hold on to that. So sell them and get yourself some silver that you can use stuff towards. The big goal is getting a gold bar. That's what you want because then you can use this to invest at a bank. And that is part of the actual how to make money video, is talking about how you can get gold bars easy, how you can invest them, because the bank will literally, you do investment with a low, moderate, and high risk interest. So it's kind of a wild system, but every 3 days it'll spit out hopefully another gold bar. Now, quickly on trade, what I do want to say is those individual items, you can take them to anything that says like this, a trading center, and sell them for like truly like pennies on the dollar. It's really not worth it to sell or stuff like this. Trade goods black market. This is where you sell the individual ones. But when you box them together in sets of 25, you load them onto a wagon from your Greymane camp, which you'll get to. And that's where this system we talked about earlier comes in, this trading system. This I truly feel is an actual end game portion. It's not something you're going to jump into in the very beginning, because you need to have the funds to buy and sell these goods across the map, and B, a wagon to do so. So that is a little bit further into the game. It's a little bit more advanced. It's just worth bringing up in case you find these items and go, well, I got this packaged black pepper. What am I going to do with it? Hold on to it. You need 25 of them to do anything. So it's kind of a wild system, and it's a lot more expansive than it needs to be. But that is how the economy works in a basic level. Just sell everything you get that you don't need, and hold on to anything that you think you want to use later with the trade goods. But honestly, I would say just get rid of it and sell it. And make sure you're selling all of your old documents and key items. But at that, it brings our video here to a close. We covered a lot of different things in this video, a lot of topics. And I tried to give you as much of a primer without giving you as much direct direction. I think the most important thing about this game is you need to play it however the hell you want. I wanted to introduce systems to you, talk about how those systems overlap and work with each other so you can understand, okay, well, my attack value, it's not dependent on my sword and my gloves and my boots, it's just my sword. All these systems overlap just by taking one portion of it and looking at it. If you're brand new to the game, what are you struggling with? Is there something that I did not cover in this video? And then on that note too, I've said it so many times this whole video, you'll find a link in the description and the pinned comment to all of my Crimson Desert guides. There we go. Go ahead and click that, and you can sift through all the subject matter that we talked about. Those should give you direction on where to go in this game. And truly, it's an open world. Enjoy this however you want at your own pace, and you'll have so much fun playing. That brings us to an end here. So if you ended up enjoying this video, God, I swear I can speak. I swear this is my actual job. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. You can also find a link to my Fanatical store, which gets you a discount on Crimson Desert if you've not yet picked it up. And lastly, you can find a link to my Twitch below, where I stream this game and plenty of other ones. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one, and take care.